It's my privilege at this time to address you. So to the members of the City Council, incoming and outgoing, to city directors, some of whom are in another room down the hall, to city employees who are here tonight, and to the citizens of Idaho Falls, I say welcome. As has become our tradition, I stand before you this evening to offer a report on the state of our great city. And I have to tell you that the city is only as good as its leadership team. Some of the members of the team are elected by the public. The rest of the members of the team are hired by the mayor. And I have to tell you that it is my conviction that we have a great team. Year in and year out, this group accomplishes much and truly makes a difference in the lives of Idaho Falls citizens because of their actions. For 4 years now, I have stood here and I've commended to you the talent and the skill of our city's administrators, also known as our directors, or department directors, or sometimes for short, because government shortens everything, we call them the DDs, right? The department directors. But tonight, rather than listen to me narrate their accomplishments and all of the things that have been achieved over this past year, I thought you might rather enjoy hearing from them directly. These are the members of the team who made all of our success possible. And so with a little help from video technology, you will have the opportunity in just a moment to hear briefly from each director. But let me just first offer you a little bit of context. We have, in the city of Idaho Falls, 11 departments. So even if they all took 2 minutes, we're still talking about a pretty long video. So, but they didn't all take 2 minutes, so it's a little shorter than 22 minutes. But anyway, I've mentioned to you before that the city of Idaho Falls has what I believe to be the most complex and varied city government in the state. The video you are about to see will demonstrate the wide range of expertise that our city comprises. But before we roll the video, I should point out one more thing. And we're ready, we're seconds away from it here. But I should point out one more thing, and that is that this group is by and large a very serious bunch. They know how to work and they take their work seriously. They rarely get nervous, and sometimes the directors work so hard they even forget to smile. And so if you're watching this video and you're wondering why they're not smiling, it's because they're hard workers. A couple of them smile, but not all of them. So anyway, they're always good sports, and this filming of this video was no exception. Their dedication is what really shows through. So let's roll it, and I invite with you to, do we need to hit the lights too? All right, enjoy the film for a moment here.
Hi, we've had a very successful year in 2017. We have a number of dedicated professionals serving our department in the areas of budget and finance, public records, purchasing, fleet maintenance, and building maintenance. We also have an outstanding IT department that has been providing consistent and secure IT services over the last year. In 2017, we installed an ADA door on the west end of our parking lot to allow our visitors that might need a little bit of extra assistance entering our City Hall building. We're hoping over the next couple of years to be able to install more of these types of services within our City Hall building. Also in 2017, we worked with the Public Information Office in installing a new city website. This allows residents to be able to click into any information they want to see, and it's been a real improvement to city communications with the public.
I was hired about 14 months ago, and then I was given permission immediately to hire a new staff member, taking our staff size to 4 full-time employees. We moved to a new building. Having a larger staff allowed us to do some new things. We've been able to implement a new vacation policy for the city, a new enhanced sick leave policy, which allows employees to receive a payout every year if they're so inclined. We've been able to do a lot of hiring in the past year. Most people don't realize how many people apply to work for the city, but it's thousands. We hired a new police chief, and with that came a lot of changes in the police department with a lot of promotions, so new sergeants, new captains, new lieutenants, a lot of work there. We're putting in place, we started to put in place as we speak, a new pay plan for the Idaho Falls Power, which is driven by performance. We also are just finishing up 2017 with a Gallup survey, an employee engagement survey, to assess employee attitudes about a variety of things. And as soon as we get those results in January, we're looking forward to implementing the things that we learn and making the city a happier place to work.
I'm the city attorney. What we do is play a support role for the city. We interpret current law for the elected officials and for city staff, and then depending on what it is that they need, we might write a contract, make an appearance in court, write ordinances and resolutions. And then the other part of our job is that we prosecute misdemeanors and infraction tickets that have been written by either the police department or by the city code enforcement people.
So the fire department, we had a really great 2017. A couple of things we accomplished. We moved our insurance rating from a Class 3 to a Class 2, which means we dropped everybody's insurance rate for fire insurance in the city due to us doing more training, having more staff this last year. So that was a pretty exciting thing. Probably the biggest thing that we did in the fire department is we built a new fire station and admin downtown. It'd been 85 years since we've had one of those, so it's an amazing building. And
it really is an amazing building.
Yeah, and I know we need to build one for the police department too. We see their buildings right next to them, and you know, they're keeping the downtown kind of down without us building a new one. So I think that's kind of the big things we did. We worked very well with the police department this year in dealing with our special events like the 4th of July and the eclipse. And we did a year's worth of planning for the eclipse, but we were very pleased with the outcome of that and the 300,000 or so people we had in our region. So you have some new promotions that you just recently did.
It's really exciting at the Idaho Falls Police Department. Almost every one of our leadership team, including me, has recently been promoted. Except for just 2 or 3 of them. We're all pretty new at our position. So we promoted 2 captains, 4 lieutenants. I've lost track of sergeants, 6, 7 sergeants, all in the last 4 months. So a lot of movement, a lot of exciting things happen. It's really nice to have those leadership positions filled so that we can move forward together and start accomplishing great work like we have been doing, but kind of in a more organized way. So at the police department, we've had a year of just a lot of change. Like I said, almost all of our leadership is new. Lots of promotions. We've relooked at our organization. We've changed our organization around and restructured ourselves. We went through a new mission, vision, core value process. So our mission is to, in partnership with the people of Idaho Falls, to make the city a place that's safe and free of crime. Our core values that we came out with are integrity, honor, trust, and excellence. And so those are the core values of the police department that will move us forward. And it's really an exciting time because everyone's new, and our imagination is the limit of what we can accomplish. So it's a great time to be in Idaho Falls. You know why God created police officers, Chief?
Why is that, Chief?
So that firefighters could have heroes too.
Yeah.
Of course, the joke works the other way also. That's also why God created firefighters.
No, we usually have the joke is that you know, everybody wants to be a firefighter, but some people can't score as high on the tests, and so they become police officers.
That's another good one. Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, 2017 was a very busy year for the airport here at Idaho Falls. We started out with receiving, for the 2nd year in a row, a perfect score on the Federal Aviation Administration's Safety and Certification Inspection. So that means we have a very safe and secure airport. We also completed Phase 1 of our $9 million Taxiway Alpha and Charlie project on the airfield. That's the essentially roadways that the airplanes take off and land on the airfield. We're also excited in 2017, we initiated the Coalition for our community and business partners to bring back Alaska Airlines with a direct flight to Seattle. And we're very hopeful that that will be accomplished in 2018. We successfully conducted the airport's triennial airport disaster emergency plan. It's a live drill, and exercises the aircraft rescue firefighting and response drills in case of a mass casualty disaster at the airport. During 2017, one of the larger events that the airport was able to host was the Blue Angels Air Show, and it was a massive undertaking. It was approximately 18 months of pre-planning, everything from operations, security, passenger control, public relations, and so forth. So it was a great undertaking for the airport and the city, and it was a very successful and profitable event. Another event that took a lot of the airport's time was gearing up for the eclipse in 2017. There was over 300 additional aircraft that arrived and departed in a 24-hour period that our air traffic control tower, our fixed-base operator on the field who accommodates aircraft, as well as airport management team, had to work very hard to accomplish. After safety and security, one of the highest priorities of the airport is air service development, and that's courting and attracting new airline and new routes to serve our community's business and leisure travels. So we're very excited that we will bring Alaska Airlines in 2018 timeframe, and we will continue to maintain our current airlines and look for future routes that will serve our community.
Idaho Falls Power has been providing electricity to the citizens of Idaho Falls for 117 years. In fact, we got our start in 1900 when we put the first generator in an irrigation canal to power up streetlights at night when there wasn't a full moon. Well, I didn't do it. I'm not that old. But we would just turn them on the streetlights if there wasn't a full moon, and that's when the generator would run. With our public power network, we've got local other not-for-profit utilities in our area. Fall River and Lower Valley are a couple cooperatives that are nearby us. And at the beginning of 2017, we had the opportunity to respond to a mutual aid request from Lower Valley Energy. They had a 90-mile-an-hour windstorm that came off the Tetons and knocked down 17 transmission poles. Those poles served the Jackson Hole ski resort and the surrounding area in Jackson Hole. They had about 4,000 customers out of power and just snapped the metal poles in half. Pretty frightening. So they asked us if we could send folks over. We sent 10 linemen over and their trucks and some equipment. And fortunately, we got there, and then that night they closed all the roads into Jackson. So we were just thrilled that we were one of 6 companies that was able to respond and get there before the roads closed. They had projected the outage to be 7 days, and the linemen did a fantastic job of restoring in really brutal conditions, deep snow. They brought the snowcats down off the mountain from Jackson Hole Ski Resort to move the snow out of the way along the pole line and speed up the restoration process. So the 7 days they projected, they had it turned on the 4th day. And those guys were the heroes. They did a great job. This past year, we also spent a lot of time working with outreach to youth, kind of with a focus of K through career. We run a couple thousand kids through our power plants during the year on tours. We partner with community organizations. This last year we did the STEM days at the zoo. So that was fun. This past year we had some really interesting projects at the power plants, and we were able to remove 75,000 cubic yards of sedimentation at the upper power plant. That's the northernmost of our power plants on the river. So it's where most of the sedimentation kind of settles out as it comes into that channel. 75,000 cubic yards, that's probably like 6,000 dump trucks of material or so. It was an incredible amount of material. So we lowered the river, built a cofferdam first, obviously, so we could lower the river, and then pulled the sedimentation out of there. And while we had the plant down, we did work in the plant. We replaced the boat dock that's off East River Road, and we've been making some improvements on the boat docks that we manage as part of our system. And then we also replaced the transformer to that power plant. It was the original power plant transformer. That enabled us to, essentially have a spare. We rewound that one and got a replacement to have a spare in case one of our power plant transformers goes down. So it was kind of an interesting project. It almost looked like a big mine site.
First and foremost, I'm very lucky to serve as the Public Works Director for Idaho Falls and work with some of the most dedicated people that we have, I believe, that work for the city. Probably the foremost project that comes to mind in this last year is our intersection improvements that were completed at 17th and Hitt Road. That roadway expansion has been needed for a number of years, and unfortunately, due to access concerns, to talk about U-turns and then cost sharing between both Idaho Falls and Ammon, a lot of those things have been put off for a number of years. But I would like to really extend a thanks to both councils and both mayors from both cities in coming together to reach an agreement to fund that particular project, so that we could bring it about and actually have the mobility improvements and also safety improvements that we have out there today. Furthermore, we have another project that probably most people don't know about in our wastewater treatment plant. Most people probably don't realize that work's going on at the wastewater treatment plant as it's tucked away kind of in the southern portion of the city down by the river. But the importance of that is that it keeps the city in compliance with a lot of our environmental regulations, and it also protects what I believe is the greatest resource that we have in Idaho Falls, and that's the Snake River. And so that project is one that we're very proud of, and it's been going very well. Furthermore, in 2017, we also had the last phase of our auto-load residential pickup for sanitation or for garbage services. And so we're happy to announce that that three-phase implementation is now fully installed throughout the city to where we're automated. And we hope to continue to look at those benefits that we'll receive throughout the city. In 2017, we also brought forward a new snow removal policy. And I would point out that the reason that policy was implemented was to ensure that we provided the best service that we could for the cost that's actually allocated to snow removal. And so the idea was really to utilize our own equipment and our own manpower to the maximum extent that we could, so that we could minimize contract work and save the city money in the long run. And I think lastly, one thing that I would really like to point out is what I would consider the hallmark project or series of projects that were completed in 2017. And what we have is actually a number of projects that were completed that brought back, I would say, a usable system to Riverside Drive in front of the temple in Idaho Falls, and probably one of the most scenic areas that we have in our community. I think you'll agree that those types of monies that we spend on those public activities, those public works activities, actually are some of the things that make us proud to be associated with public works projects. And so we look forward to similar type projects in 2018.
I think two very visible projects that are really exciting, that are a partnership between the city, the Idaho Falls Redevelopment Agency, and some private investors, are the redevelopment of the Bonneville Hotel and the redevelopment of the former Savings Center site. Savings Center, people can drive by right now and see what's happening there. There's a big hole in the ground now, but what that hole will become are two buildings, a single-story and a three-story building, a public plaza in the center, and some underground parking. It's so exciting to see new construction in downtown, and not just new construction, but really high-quality product. That has businesses lining up really to get in those doors and open their business, because they see the possibility right there by the river and some high-traffic areas. So it's a great thing for downtown. On the other end of downtown, you have the Bonneville Hotel, where the redevelopment agency has partnered with the housing company to redevelop that entire site into a more mixed-use building with residential on the upper floors and commercial down on the main floors. And so not only do you see the preservation of a really historic building in Idaho Falls, but you reintroduce more activity on the street level, which hasn't been there for a long time. So as those new businesses come in, there's going to be more people, more things to do, and that's what we try to do in downtowns and in these older parts of town, is to activate them with businesses and activities and people, so that there's more of a flow of economic and social activity there on the street level.
Last year, we checked out and loaned over 1.5 million items. We hold over 300,000 items. That's books, DVDs, electronic materials. We have computers for people to use. Let me tell you a couple of programs we have at the library. We have summer reading program. We have 11 story times a week for children. We're doing Extreme Book Nerd again. One of the new things we started in the last couple of years, especially this year, we've kind of focused on it, is providing mini libraries to assisted living centers. That's where we take a small collection of books out to an assisted living center, because sometimes residents of assisted living centers have a hard time getting to the library, so we take the library to them. Today's library is not your mother's library. It's not your grandma's library. It's not even the library I had when I was a child. I can remember going to the library, and the one and only time I went to a public library as a child, it was obvious the librarian did not want me there, or my brothers, and maybe it's because we were a little loud, but today's library is not like that. We welcome children, adults, young adults. We want everybody to come to the library.
2017 was a year to remember in Idaho Falls. We are so thankful to all of our volunteers and staff who put in countless hours. It was the year of special events, and as we look back, the 4th of July relocation to Snake River Landing was a huge success. And then we moved on to the rodeo, War Bonnet Roundup, Idaho's oldest rodeo, and we had record crowds there as well. Then the air show, which was filled with incredible excitement in our community, and then we ended up with the phenomenal eclipse, which I think we'll all remember for the rest of our lives. Parks and Recreation was involved in every single one of those events, as well as 200 other events held throughout the city in 2017. I think the special events that we have in our city are one of the things that make our city great. Beyond special events, we did a lot of projects in 2017 too. We did phase 2 of the Ryder Park project, where we welcomed a group of children to come and fish, many for their first time. We also did Noise Park, where we extended an OHV trail, as well as improvements to the stock car racing track, as well as the motocross track. 2017 also marked a big change with our farmers market, where we relocated it to Memorial Drive, added the artisans, and now we have a much bigger market that I think is attracting way more people from outside the region to our downtown, which I think is great for our economy. Another project that was great success this year was the phase 3 of the Rock Gardens at Taylor's Crossing. This project has now won 3 state awards as the top park in Idaho. The Parks and Rec Department led a citywide effort for all new signage and wayfinding. This has been a 4-year project that's now come to fruition, and it couldn't have been a better year with more visitors coming to Idaho Falls than ever in our history. Now, these signs are not meant for the locals, they're meant for the tourists that come, so they can see all the great things that we have in our city, whether it's the museum, or the arts, or the downtown, or our wonderful zoo, the Idaho Falls Zoo. Broke records this year, more than 30,000 additional attendees than ever in the history of the zoo. We had more babies than we've ever had at the zoo. It's very exciting. Lions and bears and a gibbon that was one of only 16 in the country we have right here in Idaho Falls.
I neglected to mention at the beginning that this video was made possible through the talent and extra effort of Carrie Hammond, our city PIO, and the professionals at IE Productions. And they both Carrie and IE Productions did this in a relatively short amount of time, and I think they did a nice job, so thank you very much. As you can see, the city of Idaho Falls has a lot going on. We always do, 24/7, 365 days a year. This city is working. And city employees, well, they make a difference in the quality of life and the kind of experience that we have as city residents in so many ways, from our linemen to our sanitation workers, to snowplow operators, mechanics, animal caregivers, highly educated librarians, an urban forester, SWAT team members, search and rescue team members, fire prevention specialists, the cemetery sexton, federal grants administrator, prosecutors, building inspectors, IT specialists, accountants, and even elected officials. The work that we do in this city can be highly specialized. The army of city professionals works to do so many things. They work to ensure that the lights go on and that the water comes out of the faucet, and that when we're done with it, it goes down the drain. They work to make sure we have the latest books and the access to sports and health and fitness options. They work to make sure the planes can land and that school children know officers that they can trust. They show up when cars collide and when we have medical emergencies. They work to answer citizen questions and keep streets free of leaves and snow. They prepare grave sites and plant trees and flowers. They preserve our city's history, and it goes on and on and on. City employees strive to anticipate problems and solve them before they become issues. When the unanticipated happens, they roll up their sleeves and they figure it out. And if something does slip through the cracks, we learn from it. Our city is a very healthy organization, and there can be no disputing the fact that the everyday work performed by city employees makes a difference, a positive difference, in the lives of Idaho Falls residents. However, city employees are not the only ones who work hard solving problems and meeting needs. The qualities that make the city organization strong are the very same ones that guarantee success in our market-based local economy. The recent political campaign included some debate about economic growth in Idaho Falls. Some claimed that business was moving away from our city. I wish to set the record straight tonight and tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. A very quick glance at some recent notable business events in our community reveals many significant business successes that translate into healthy economic growth for Idaho Falls. I'm just going to run through a few of them right now. Idahoan Foods, right across the street from City Hall, or from the annex as well. They went public recently with the details of a $30 million expansion of their potato processing capabilities at their plant on, is it West River Road? West River Road, right? And though the plant is located just barely outside of city boundaries, like, by a few hundred feet, the world headquarters for Idahoan Foods is right downtown. And so they're in the heart of downtown. Their success is our success. By the same token, Melaleuca just celebrated its first $2 billion year. This company is a large regional employer, as you know, and their success is meaningful to Idaho Falls citizens as well. And what's really remarkable is that it wasn't that many years ago when they were celebrating their first $1 billion year. And I'm saying billion with a B, right? So when you can go in a relatively short amount of time from a $1 billion year to a $2 billion year, that kind of success and growth is powerful and it's noteworthy. This past fall, I participated in the groundbreaking for the Idaho Falls Cardio-Renal Center, to be located on Sunnyside. This 25,000 square foot, $15 million full-service medical facility is expected to open this coming fall. Continuing with the medical theme, major work at Mountain View Hospital is coming in 2018. The city's building department recently processed permit paperwork for a $65 million expansion, and there's more to come on that. We'll be hearing more. Tokyo-based Sakai Casting opened its IF office in April in Idaho Falls. In this first year, since April, so almost a year, they've been busy collaborating with CAES, the Center for Advanced Energy Studies, to bring their unique technology to bear in the nuclear industry. It could greatly impact how we handle the storage of spent fuel. Sakai Casting recently received an iGEM grant from the State Department of Commerce. And it's really good, it feels good to be the kind of a city that can foster an international company that's doing meaningful, cutting-edge research, such as this. The possibilities for future development of their technology are fairly significant, and they have international consequences for us. The industry leader Northwest Cosmetics Labs held an open house earlier this year to share their recent expansion. They are inventors of the cosmovation process, and they are a world leader based out of Idaho Falls in personal beauty products. And they will absolutely be seeing more growth. They've added to their workforce, and each year their expansion will allow them to grow more and more and more. The INL, as we know, perhaps if you've been following it, they received approval recently to site 2 new buildings along University Boulevard. The Collaborative Computing Center, nicknamed C3, and the CyberCore building. Both of these will bring high-paying jobs, interesting research, and incredible new opportunities to our area. And as mentioned in the video, the Broadway will open in 2018. The increase in commerce to the downtown area that will bring will be real and significant. We'll get to see it and even taste it if you go to the restaurants. It's downtown business growth that's helping to drive demand for downtown housing. And that's why the renovation of the old Bonneville Hotel is very complimentary, and it will contribute greatly in its own way to the downtown economy. We made just an unofficial and cursory count of the many small business and medium-sized business announcements of renovation, expansion, moving in, or changing locations, relocations, I should say, here in Idaho Falls. And without much effort at all, we identified at least 25 of those kinds of business expansions in this past, well, since the spring of 2017. So things are vibrant in Idaho Falls economically. But even with all of this success on the business front, not every big expansion that is going to be bringing new jobs and new ideas and new opportunities and commerce has come from the private sector. We've had community success as well, and one of the biggest things to hit all of Eastern Idaho this past year was the establishment of the College of Eastern Idaho. Not only is every new semester bringing more students onto the Idaho Falls and satellite campuses, but the college also recently announced a $1.7 million legacy gift from Bill and Shirley Make. And the money that they are receiving there will be used and spent locally to enhance CEI programs. Earlier this year, the Idaho Falls Community Family Clinic opened its new clinic to the, they opened their new clinic. The clinic, with its bilingual Spanish-speaking staff, offers medical services to low-income individuals in our community. And the new clinic contains 16 exam rooms and is more than double the size of the old clinic. And Ermac's parent company, the Hospital Corporation of America, gave final approval not too long ago for establishing a residency program in Idaho Falls. So starting in July, we're expecting 10 new internal medical residents to arrive in Idaho Falls and begin their residency. This vital training is going to bring new talent to all of Eastern Idaho, and that is expected to have a tremendous positive impact on the shortage of trained medical professionals that we experience primarily in rural areas in Idaho. And the program will expand beyond the 10 residents in future years. Lots of exciting things are happening, and so many opportunities have arisen for our city in recent years and recent months. And so many people and businesses whose talent and skills and vision make a positive difference. As we look to 2018 and beyond, you can rest assured that the city itself is not sitting idle or resting on its 2017 laurels. Let me just mention a few projects that are coming forward in the coming year. The first would be Heritage Park. The local Rotary Club, which we are familiar with, being responsible for lots of restoration and renovation and donations that they make through proceeds from the duck race every year. They have helped to rejuvenate our greenbelt and the waterfront along the river in Idaho Falls. Well, this year, Rotary will be celebrating its 100-year anniversary, and they're doing so by making a major donation to the city to be used at its newest park, Heritage Park. And this generous donation supplements the generosity of the Smith family and Snake River Landing, and when you combine that with some city contributions as well, we now have enough resource to be able to break ground on this river-themed park in 2018. So that will be sure to become another jewel of a park along the river. The Zoo Education Center, you saw a little snippet of the architect's rendering on the video. Plans for building the center are rolling forward even as we speak. And this $750,000 project was made possible by generous donations from Bill Make and from the Tapas Park Zoological Society. The Idaho Falls Civic Center for the Performing Arts. Note that new and elegant name. That's what we used to call the Civic Auditorium. It's now the Idaho Falls Civic Center for the Performing Arts. And the citizen committee that's guiding management of this community landmark facilitated a 2-year phase 1 renovation. And much of that work will begin this summer. You're going to see the city moving forward with necessary upgrades and repairs. And again, that was made possible through another generous donation from, you may guess it, from Bill Make. Future phases, future projects will be done in phases to the back of the house, which is behind the stage, and to the front of the house, which is the entrance and the lobby. And those are being discussed, and those would, again, further strengthen the facility in future years. Several local experts have donated their time to the project so far, including an interior designer and a graphic artist, as well as a couple of architects. We gladly welcome contributions from any and all fans of the arts who want to be a part of continuing the glorious legacy of this building as it fulfills its mission of bringing the arts to everyday residents in Idaho Falls. I also want to mention in 2017, I'm going backwards for a second, even though I'm shooting forward here, but the Idaho Falls Police Department promoted the first woman to the rank of sergeant. I know Sergeant Marley and have seen her in action, and I do not believe this will be the end of her career path. I think we'll probably see more advancement. But I really appreciate the example she is setting for her fellow officers, for women in the profession, and especially for young women and girls who can look to her excellent example. But going forward, I'm told that the Idaho Falls Fire Department is not far behind. I fully expect that we will be adding more women to the city's public safety ranks in the coming months. The Idaho Falls Airport, we saw a snippet from them, but they're also this coming year going to be beginning an expansion project which will include upgrading the baggage claim area. And as you've heard, progress has been made on attracting a new Seattle route with Alaska Airlines. And so stay tuned for that. Our fingers are crossed that that will go through. There's still more planned for 2018, but time does not permit me to go into detail. Please visit the city website and like our Facebook pages, and that will help you to stay informed. But let me just give you a quick list of some other things that we're planning or that we'll begin exploring in 2018. We are planning a community celebration of Engineering Week in February to include a lot of celebrating with youth. We have another community roundtable discussion coming forward. A series of administrative changes that my office is excited about, including new agenda management software, training for boards, committees, and commissions, development of some additional citizen review committees. 2018 will also be the first year for us to use priority-based budgeting, something that we've been working toward since 2014. We'll also investigate renewed use of neighborhood watch programs, further development of Ryder Park, more public electric vehicle charging stations as a part of a statewide initiative that has the goal of eliminating range anxiety as drivers of electric vehicles travel long distances. So, and we'll be seeing more electric cars on the highways, and Idaho Falls will be a charging epicenter. Expansion of our more than a decade-old fiber optic network to promote residential connectivity is something we're very excited about in the coming year. We have enhanced and simplified code enforcement coming, thanks to some diligence and vigilance from council members. We're in the beginning stages of work on a regional public safety training center for police and fire professionals throughout the region. We're also, of course, we'll always be planning continued road improvements and safety enhancements. Anytime that construction season is open, we're going to be doing some of that. So, pages and pages I have shared with you of community successes and plans. I can and I should point out that Idaho Falls also faces some challenges going forward. In 2018, we're going to begin to tackle them in earnest. Let me just share, I think I have 4 challenges. One is a new police headquarters. It's next on the list of big ticket items. A new facility is very much needed. A citizen commission that was formed way back in 2007, might have been 2006, but I know they were active in 2007 at least, but my history may be a few months off. But they were formed way back then to discuss how to address the need. It was perceived as a need 11 years ago or 12 years ago. The committee, however, was discontinued. And it wasn't because they decided that there really wasn't a need. It was because the recession hit. And city leaders at that time essentially froze expenditures and new projects because they were being sensitive to the fact that we had less money coming in because of the recession. So as we study the need for a new project or a new facility now for our police officers, we know that a first-rate facility is going to be more costly than what the city budget can accommodate in any given budget year. At this time, turning to the public for bonding authority is a strong possibility. I invite all interested Idaho Falls citizens to stay tuned. We must get it right the first time. The council members, I believe I'm speaking for you, and I are going to have zero appetite for spending tens of thousands of dollars to run a public vote more than once. It costs $30,000 just to have an election. And if we have an election for voters to say, we're not sure, no. And then we have to run it 2 or 3 times. We've spent, at that 3 times, we've spent $90,000 on not being able to make up our minds. We have to get it right the first time. And that's going to take a lot of voter education. It's going to take a lot of commitment, a lot of word of mouth, a lot of support. So please join with us in that effort. It's going to be a bit of a challenge because the 66 2/3 majority that's required for bonding is a high threshold. Now, when it comes to city recreation facilities, our new city council faces more tough questions. Do we repair and renovate, knowing that our existing pool facility is too small to serve community needs? Do we build a second pool to meet the demand? Or do we close the current one and build a larger single aquatic facility? Or, well, if we build a new aquatic facility, should it be a standalone pool? Or should it be one that's part of a larger public recreation and sports complex? And what of our city recreation center? The 80-year-old one we have now is well used, but it's also small, leaky, and falling apart. Of course, we are seeking creative means of solving these problems and finding funding and looking for grant money. But at some point, the council's going to have to decide how to proceed. And we haven't forgotten that we could use a second sheet of ice on in this city, and perhaps even a year-round sheet of ice. Those who get up at 5 a.m. or stay up until 2 a.m. to skate are not going to let us forget that we need that second sheet of ice. Our current ice arena is in use almost around the clock between October and April every year. Many of our citizens during the summer months drive hundreds of miles every summer just to access practice ice. It sure would be nice to serve and meet those needs at home. Another challenge area is water resources. To anyone watching the statewide discussion of water resources, it is no surprise to hear me say again, as I do every year, that water concerns are real. This is a time of transition for our state. Fresh, potable water is, as we know, key for city development and growth. And yet, Idaho cities all up and down the Eastern Snake Plain Aquifer are challenged to obtain enough water for growth while not infringing upon water needed for agriculture in this state. Idaho Falls is right smack dab in the middle of this conversation, and it's a statewide conversation. Other states in the West have resolved their water issues, by and large, in the marketplace. And so you go there, and the available water is there, but it costs a lot. In Idaho, we've somewhat resisted the expensive trend. We know, then I think part of the reason is because we know that shrewd and smart management practices can maximize availability and keep Idaho water prices relatively low. There is a competitive advantage in this strategy, right? If you have lower water rates, people want to come and you can see more growth. But I firmly believe there's a lot more that we can do to maximize supply, and that's through wise management of our water at both the city and the state level. Sometimes wise management costs money. And as we've found, converting our golf courses to more efficient use of water is a multi-million-dollar proposition. So these are challenges, to be sure, because how do we raise millions of dollars to conserve water so that we have enough water for growth? We need the growth to generate the millions of dollars, and so we end up in a cycle of difficulty when it comes to problem solving. The time may be coming as well, however, when we as citizens will be called upon to manage our own water use, rather than just turning on that faucet and letting it run and turning on the hose and letting it run. Right now, I will tell you that Idaho Falls water is more affordable than water in just about any of the other large, any other large Idaho city and any western Idaho city, western city outside of Idaho. In the past, city water managers were not faced with limited availability or expensive water, not like we are now. This is a new challenge, and we can all rest assured that we will continue to plan and manage cleverly in the face of new city growth. You can be sure that we're advocating for new city growth opportunities and water when we have these discussions at the state level. You can be sure that we're making our needs known, but it is a challenge. It is a challenge. Finally, we are, of course, I think, correct to be focused on growth. Recently, Idaho was named the fastest growing state in the nation. That's kind of an exciting little honor. Much of that growth, I will tell you, is occurring in Ada County. But even the relatively modest growth that's happening in Bonneville County, as compared to Ada, still translates into more demand on city infrastructure. And perhaps nowhere is this more evident than at rush hour on I-15. There we regularly have traffic backing up off the exit ramps and into the travel lanes. You can imagine, if you think about it, that's not safe. And so the Idaho Transportation Department considers exit 119, which is the exchange with Highway 20. Sorry. Anyway, they consider that exchange to be the most challenging traffic situation in our area. In 2018, ITD will be kicking off a year-long effort to examine the busy I-15 corridor. City officials are currently active and will continue to be active in that conversation. And we will keep you informed about when it's time for public comment. Some of the solutions will represent some radical change. Some of the solutions that I hear are coming forward, and we're all going to want to weigh in on that. So stay tuned for how you can express yourself. And finally, though, this last challenge, it's not a city project necessarily, but the failure of the recent school bond to achieve the supermajority threshold needed to redesign District 91 high schools does present a community challenge. The trustees have gone back to work on the very real problems presented by aging and diminished school facilities. Approving a plan that meets 21st century student needs is vital to our community's long-term success and economic health. And ensuring that the historic Idaho Falls High School neighborhood is properly supported, or the neighborhoods, all of them surrounding there, are properly supported and redeveloped if the campus is relocated, is also another vital opportunity that we can't afford to get wrong. Idaho Falls city leaders stand ready to assist if that happens. If you take a look at the map, you will see a map of Idaho Falls. You will find that the Idaho Falls High School property and neighborhoods are right in the middle. They're at the heart of our city, and we can't afford to get that wrong. So we're ready to assist if and when change comes there. So, how do we best tackle all of these challenges? It takes citizen involvement. We know that most public problems are not simple ones. Most of them are nuanced. They have lots of layers to them. We all know that there really is no easy button that we can just punch and make it all happen. We cannot afford to be tempted into thinking that public solutions are just a simple matter of applying the right ideology or having enough will to get them done. There are knots to untangle. Ideology, liberal, conservative, whatever you want to call it, at times may be helpful. It may be a guide. It may be necessary to help us work our way through a problem, but it's rarely sufficient. Usually we need data. We need energy. We need action. We need good thoughts and ideas. And well, that's life. That's how life works. Rarely do you just simply say, I believe in health, and so I'm going to be healthier. Usually takes a little more than that. Most problems require that we roll up our sleeves, we apply my dad's favorite thing, elbow grease, and ingenuity, and when we do that, then we can get a little closer to solving our problems. I can tell you that it's one of the major and most encouraging and delightful lessons that I have learned, and I bet every single council member here, even the new ones, can say, is that citizen support is always there, and it allows us to do so much more than just solve our problems, although it's vital for that, but it also allows us to accomplish some really great things. So to my more political friends, I will tell you that citizen involvement, I believe, is the very essence of local control. Local residents working together to achieve local goals and make a local difference. In 2018 and beyond, we have every reason to expect more more citywide accomplishment with more citizen involvement, and I look forward to that. One more major area I want to tackle here, and that is that I want to answer a question. Some have asked why I bring federal, state, region, and private sector concerns into my conversations about the city. And the question sometimes carries with it a suggestion that we should not become involved with things that are outside of our city. Or that are not city-led. And to them I say that growth in every sector brings brings with it a need for careful and visionary leadership in our city and in our region. I believe it's vital that we both understand and carry our weight in the myriad of relationships in which Idaho Falls is involved. We are the largest city east of Boise. We are a hub for a tri-state region for retail, research, entertainment, arts and culture, medical care, and now affordable education. And while we do not grow the potatoes or the barley crops inside of city limits, the commerce associated with these agricultural products certainly impacts our city. Our welcome and unique relationships with the U.S. Departments of Defense, Energy, and Homeland Security also shape who we are and the quality of opportunities available in Idaho Falls. We become involved in outside city activity because it involves our city. We are a hub that provides leadership, we generate opportunity, and we shape it into Eastern Idaho's advantage. We house the banks, we store the stores, the labs, the hospital rooms, and the classrooms. Responsible city leaders must be aware of city, region, state, and federal trends and events. Otherwise, how can we take advantage of them? I know no other way that we can be prepared and poised to act when opportunity comes knocking. We have to be watching more than just what's happening on Main Street. The small modular project that we've talked about before, I think embodies this really well. We continue to work to bring the SMR project to fruition. Idaho Falls did not invent the technology, so some could say it's not ours. We didn't submit it to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for vetting. We do not control DOE decisions to fund SMR research. We don't control the individual council decisions in municipalities throughout 6 western states who are also anxious to be a part of the project. We do not control the INL or the Secretary of Energy in their decisions to support the research and bring it to the marketplace. But as an interested party, we have been aware and involved all along. Now there's a lot more to do to bring this project forward to make it perfectly viable. For us, a successful project will mean another path to securing reliable and affordable carbon-free energy for Eastern Idaho. But it's also about more than just generating electricity or improving local resiliency and adding a few hundred excellent jobs. It's also going to bring additional training and research opportunities, even more excellent jobs. If we are successful, we will have secured for Idaho Falls a global leadership position. What a fitting honor that would be for a city that hosts the lab that harnessed the world's first peaceful nuclear power over 66 years ago. The prospect of plentiful, affordable, clean, and reliable baseload energy is a city making a difference. And that's sort of my theme tonight. This city makes a difference. It makes a positive difference. This past year, my office received many comments and thank you notes from visitors who traveled from all over the world to come and take advantage of our events this summer. A very kind note came from Kendall and Aiden, who live in Henderson, Nevada. Here's just a small little piece of their message. They said, "Thank you and your beautiful city for hosting thousands of people from around the world for the Great American Eclipse. It was a lovely place for viewing the event. Everyone we came across, from police and city workers to workers in hotels, restaurants, gas stations, etc., were friendly and helpful. Even a Canadian family traveling through, not knowing about the eclipse beforehand, was fixed up by a gas station attendant with safety glasses and safety instructions and information about locations for good viewing. Thanks again for the wonderful party and the measures to keep everyone safe." Don't you love that? You chuckled. Don't you love the idea of a gas station employee who took it upon him or herself to make people feel welcome? That's what it means to make a difference. That's what it means to make a difference here in Idaho Falls. That's who we are. That's why I love living here. Idaho Falls is an exciting place. It's a friendly place. We're growing and we're poised and prospering in so many positive ways. And we still manage to do that by managing all of our public resources wisely and while our directors are doing the amazing work that they do. It's what made me want to live here and raise my family here, and it makes me want to stay here. I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, and I invite each and every Idaho Falls citizen to continue doing what it takes to make a positive difference in the lives of others, those who visit our city as well as those who live here all year long. If you can, make a difference. Shovel a sidewalk, rake some leaves, pick up some litter, coach a team. All those things do make a difference. And as we move forward into 2018 and we have those challenges that need to be tackled, I invite you to take the first steps toward helping with that by becoming aware. I encourage citizens to do more. Please become involved in city processes, from budget to policy to planning. Here are some quick ideas of how you can do that. The City Council and I meet in this chamber, right here in this room, several times a year, or several times a month, sorry. Come watch a meeting. And you're bound to learn something that you didn't know about the city. All the meetings for 2018 have been scheduled and they are listed on the city's website. And you can even sign up on the website for notifications about the meetings. And for those of you who can't attend the meetings in person, we live stream all of our Monday work sessions and all of our regular Thursday night meetings, so you can watch them later at your leisure. The website also contains an application form for anybody interested in applying to serve on city boards, committees, and commissions. We have somewhere between 20 and 30 of those. I lost count because some are active and some are new, and I lost count. But just fill it out, print it out, fill it out, and drop it by City Hall, and we'll give you a call as soon as we have an opening that meets your skills and your interests. City officials, whether they're city council members, myself, city directors, they are always willing to speak with you. Or receive your ideas or your complaints. Send an email, call the office, make an appointment. We'll make time to meet with you, because we can still do that. We're small enough as a city that we can still do that. On May 1st of this year, we'll be hosting once again Budget Watch at the City Library. And that evening, all the directors, all the elected officials will be there, and we're happy to talk there for as long as it takes to answer your questions. And we'll have displays and handouts and things that teach you about city departments. If you want to become engaged, there are lots of ways to do that. We need you to become engaged. So that's the big invitation. I'll close with a very simple but true statement that I uttered last year. The state of our city is strong. Idaho Falls' future is bright. And I could not be more proud than to serve you and to be a part of all the great things that the city has to offer. And I thank you for your time tonight. All right, Director 2, I invite you to come forward and join me at this time at the podium. We have the opportunity now to show off some of those city employees that I've just been bragging about. Every year, once a year, we take time to